I'm just going to walk you through some of the work we've been doing recently. As Sriram was describing, we've come up with the GRYD platform now. What I have gone and done is we have taken about 29 documents, which were all from your Maruti cars. They were varying between your accessories documents, your service documents, the brochures for the various cars. Sorry. And we have trained that along with our existing FAQ data that we had over the last few years that we've been working with you. The FAQs that we used to have all of those things have been trained into this. So we're going to start off with a very
Hi,
basic.
how can I assist you today?
So simple questions first, right? Tell me about Brezza.
All right.
So like I said, we have been training this with plenty of data, and I can, while we wait for the response, which you might notice right now it's going to ChatGPT. As you can see in my dashboard here, that GPT is selected. So we are fetching relevant data that is available based on my query, passing that to GPT, and GPT is going to frame the answer.
The Brezza is an award-winning SUV model produced by Maruti Suzuki India Limited and is a perfect blend of style and practicality. Its features include a premium dashboard, ample shoulder and headroom, and a generous boot space.
So I'm not going to bore you with the entire answer being read out. As you can see, it's pretty much split up most of the data from your brochure and given you all the information that's required. Down here, what we're also displaying is that we got it from GPT. The cost that was incurred to get this answer, not only not only the cost for GPT itself, but along with the server cost as well that was required. So I'm also displaying here the number of tokens we used. The number of tokens most of you might be familiar with is basically when you create a prompt, it's a certain number of words. They're broken down into chunks of data. Those are pretty much what you can call tokens. When it is using that data to generate the response, whatever number of words or phrases you can consider are number of tokens. All GenAI models use this token-based lingo, we can say. In every such answer that you will see, I will be printing the price and the tokens as well. Now, we started off simple. What is Brezza? Let's ask it something more specific. Does it have Smart Play Studio? Sorry. So we are able to now not only ask questions specific, like I asked for Smart Play Studio, but if you notice, I didn't mention Brezza, I said it. So now it's able to maintain context through the conversation as well. As you can see, it's responded. It does have Smart Play Studio. So like I was saying, it's able to keep context, and it's also able to keep track of your history of the conversation as well, which I will display in a moment. But let's give it something a little more complex to answer. Can you recommend a smaller car with similar features? So ideally, it should probably provide a recommendation for Celerio, Espresso, Wagoner, any one of these vehicles as it's smaller. And hopefully, since it's GPT, I'm saying hopefully, it will come up and give you some information about the product itself, or if it might so choose to give multiple. Sorry. So as you can see here, something you might notice, it's recommended Swift for us in this scenario. Not only that, since I was asking about Smart Play Studio, if you might notice, the very first point is that it also comes with Smart Play Studio. So the intelligence behind this is pretty impressive. And again, all we did here was we used the brochure information that we had. We took out the chunks from those brochures that were relevant to my queries, sent it to GPT along with the context and the history, and some governing prompts. So now these are all questions that were coming. The responses were coming from GPT. Now maybe we can ask it a question that is not required to go to GPT to get the answer. Let's say, does Brezza have 6 airbags? I guess, yeah. So this is one of the scenarios that Sriram was possibly speaking about, where you don't need GPT at all times. Yes, 20 to 30% of the time possibly where we are unable to figure out what exactly the customer wants, you might need GPT, but there are scenarios where we can directly answer. In this scenario, we know the answer. And as you can see, the cost is significantly lower for this query itself because it was purely just the server time that we spent figuring out what the answer should be. And this will only happen when we are relatively sure of the answer. Now, let's say you have trust issues, and I would like to demonstrate how I can upload a document and be able to get answers from that document and how simple it is. So I'm going to ask a question such as, maybe tell me the price of fog lamp for Desire. So like I said, we've uploaded about 29 documents. It was supposed to be 30. The one document I did not upload was the document for the accessories for Desire. So I'm going to go ahead. As you can see, it was unable to give me the exact price for Desire's fog lamp, but it was able to go and fetch one of our existing answers that were there based on the fog lamp and for Desire, and it displayed that. So now what I'm going to do is simply go and upload this document. So here you can see to save time right now, I'm using a pure text document, but it's nothing but just a text version of the PDF for Brezza's accessory. So I'm simply going to upload it. It's training. And it's uploaded successfully. Let's give that another try. Cost of fog lamp for Desire. So ideally, here it should be able to pick up the information and provide you with the correct answer. Anyway, while we wait, I'll also maybe discuss. Okay. Oh, sorry. I guess it took a little longer to train. Sorry. So while we wait for that training to finish and to give the answer, I'll just show you some of the other options that we have. Like Sriram was saying, if tomorrow Mistral becomes more popular or more capable or more accurate, or you see for certain scenarios or certain verticals or domains, it makes more sense to use Mistral rather than GPT. How can we do that switch? So it's pretty simple. You click, you save it, and oh, sorry. Okay, training was done. The answers here. The fog lamp for Desire is 5,390, as you can see. I don't know if you guys can validate that, but it should be correct coming from the document. So as I just went and I switched to Mistral, now I'm going to ask a question. What are the variants for espresso? So now the answer that you will get will come from Mistral AI. Similarly, we can go ahead and switch to any model that we want at any given time. You can see here, this answer came from, yes, Mistral. And the cost was again displayed here. Now I'm going to display our latest endeavor in creating our own model. Bear with me, it's a little bit slower, it's in its nascent stages, and it might not give the prettiest answers, but hopefully it does. Uh, oh yeah, sorry. So what are the colors available for espresso? Uh, like I said, this one will take a little bit of time to respond. Hopefully it doesn't take too much time. But like Anand had mentioned, even those professors said 6 years, but we're 60 years down the line. So if we can just give it a minute. While we wait, if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Yep. Right. Right. So the document, when we're parsing it, it's not necessarily giving me specific sentences, right? So it's just little bits of text. If you the PDF that you have, it's, if I remember correctly, there are little blocks with an image with the name and the price, and I believe the item number or some kind of product ID as well along with that. So what happens there is, though we're able to read this information, we don't have that framed in a sentence to go, right? So previously when I asked about the airbags, right, it was able to give me that answer because we had a framed answer for that. So now, right now, if I were to go and upload a document which purely says what is the price and a sentence with the price, it would be able to answer. So that would be the difference between training a document and training an FAQ, right? FAQs, we can very quickly pick it up. But since this document had little pieces of data, we found the relevant pieces, but we had to send it to GPT. And not just that, we also had to send some information about the prior context and the history, in case you had said, okay, what is the price for it rather than fog lamp, right? So to maintain the context, so some information also has to be sent to GPT or Mistral or whichever one you choose, and it would be able to respond. So the framing of the answer has to come from GPT. I guess this is taking longer than expected. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I literally did it in front of your face, right? So it's just a text document I uploaded. I think this is taking too much time. Maybe we can break. Any other questions? I'd be happy to answer.
I have a question, sir. Yeah. So actually, we are show. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are showcasing the tokens over here
Right.
for each question.
Right.
So how this, because small answer it may be showing more number of tokens. How we are defining the token in total?
How are tokens calculated? Is this mic?
This one's what? Sorry, were you asking about how are the tokens calculated?
Yes, because the we
Right.
are selecting the model, right?
Mhm.
And somewhere it is for that, I think second one,
Here, when I select
Mistel,
it,
it says 0 tokens, but for
I
OpenAI
believe
it's
it said
NA.
NA.
Yes, NA,
NA, right?
NA,
Yeah.
no.
So Mistral's a open source model which we are hosting and we are using it ourselves. So for OpenAI, I was displaying the tokens because the charge is based on the tokens. If I guess that would clarify your doubt, right? Uh, the cost, total cost being calculated for GPT would be our server time plus the GPT token count. But in case of Mistral, it would be just our server count because that model is hosted on our own servers.
So that's like a system that we take and train. The only cost we incur is the infrastructure costs and the manual cost required to train it. Whereas in GPT, for every question you ask,
Yes.
you have to pay them, like
Yeah.
2 cents on 1,000 tokens, right? So that's approximately 2 rupees per 1,000 tokens. So a brief question will cost the enterprise approximately 2.3 rupees, including infrastructure cost and the GPT Azure OpenAI
And
costs.
if you
So
want to
that's
know about the approximate cost, like number of tokens for Mistral as well, it is similar, I'd say, about if the count comes to almost 99% the same as that is there in GPT, because the way in which they calculate the tokens, like I said previously, it's very similar across the board for most of these GenAI models.
So that FAQ, the answer which comes from FAQ doesn't go to OpenAI. So are
No.
we checking any like there is a layer in between that which decides whether I need to pick it up from FAQ or to
Right.
GPT or to that model?
Yes. Maybe we can just. Okay. So here you can see that whatever data that you have, you can assume that client data would be your documents, your FAQs, your dealer data JSON, or whatever it may be, right? All of that would be broken down into smaller chunks, and embeddings are created. Embeddings are nothing but numerical representations, or in this case, vector representation of that chunk, right? Whenever you're typing a query, it will find the nearest, closest matching such vectors or chunks. Now, let's say the closest one was an FAQ response or a keyword, right? And the next best one was beyond a certain threshold in distance, then we can be reasonably sure that this is the answer. Now, this is kind of where reinforcement learning comes into play. That yes, initially that threshold would have to be tweaked. Now, there are various algorithms that allow us to do that dynamically, but ideally, there has to be some human intervention, at least in the beginning, where if that was the wrong answer, that was the wrong FAQ answer, some subject matter expert or any one of you guys would have told me that this is wrong, and we would go and change that threshold value.
Okay, because both the answers can come up like FAQ and also from the document.
Right.
Both answer can go beyond the threshold value, right?
Right. In that case, I am unsure, right?
Hmm.
So in that scenario, I would take the nearest n pieces of data, nearest n chunks, and pass it to GPT or Mistral. That is the 30% or 40%, right? That we're unsure of,
Okay.
where that would figure it out and send the response back. Quite often, we'll have similar pieces of data. It's just choosing or phrasing that answer like I spoke before.
Okay. Thank you.